for June 3rd, 2019. This meeting will be live streamed. And I want to mention to everybody, please silence your phone. Tonight's agenda, we have one public hearing, one letter of recommendation, one information report, and the formation of nominating committee for our commission officers. So welcome. Travis, can I have a roll call vote of commission members?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Helfrey? Commissioner Levitt? Here. Commissioner Cohn? Commissioner Gagnani? Here. Commissioner Beatty? Here. Commissioner Deppler? Here. Commissioner Simpson? Councilmember Werther?
Present.
Mayor Boland? Here. Chair Lee? Present. Thank you. I've not received any comment cards. PZ 9-19, Graham Oswald, 1827 Shiloh Woods Road, Wildwood, Missouri 63005, is seeking the review and action of the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding an outdoor game court, batting cage with associated netting structure, which has already been constructed and located at 1827 Shiloh Woods Road, Wildwood, Missouri, locator number 22X220070 in U Non-Urban Residence District. This request is to be reviewed in accordance with Chapter 415.090 in U Non-Urban Residence District regulations of the City of Wildwood Zoning Code, which establishes standards and requirements for outdoor game courts relating to their consideration by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The completed outdoor game court addition, i.e. batting cage, is situated on the south side of the existing residence and placed outside of the front yard setback area, which does constitute an accessory use to the single-family dwelling, Ward 1.
Mr. Chair and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, before the department provides a brief slide presentation regarding Mr. Oswald's property and the subject batting cage, I would like to introduce into tonight's record the following items. The City Charter, Chapter 415 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Zoning Ordinance, which contains the requirements relating to the NU Non-Urban Resident District, as well as conditional use permits. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular petition and all contents contained therein, and then any testimony or other items that are provided as part of tonight's public hearing for the purposes of the consideration of the request. With that, Mr. Chair, with your permission, Mr. Newberry will provide his slide presentation.
Do this. In the City of Wildwood, public hearings are truly intended to accept comments and questions concerning this item. Since this is a public hearing, it is only intended to provide information on this request. No action is planned on this item tonight, and consideration of it is to be taken no earlier than June 17th, 2019. The City's Department of Planning will address the comments, questions, and concerns that are raised tonight and include them as part of their formal recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Public hearings are conducted as described in the handout provided on the table in the reception area, along with information on this matter. The Commission will allow all parties adequate time to present their position and ask that you respect all opinions by other speakers and avoid interrupting anyone during their time at the podium. Persons wanting to speak or receive future information on this item should fill out a speaker's card and leave it with Mr. Newberry. In addition, information on this item can be found on the city's website at www.cityofwildwood.com. The Commission would like to thank you for your cooperation and participation in tonight's hearing. Mr. Newberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The department will start its presentation with an aerial view of Mr. Oswald's lot, 1827 Shiloh Woods Road. The location of the batting cage is south of the drive aisle and east of the home. It's difficult to see with the tree cover. This next photograph is looking north on Shiloh Woods Road, just to show the extent of the tree cover along the road. This is standing on Shiloh Woods Road looking towards the batting cage. You can see the home in the background there. And the next few slides are just some photographs of different angles of the existing batting cage. This is looking to the west, or excuse me, to the south. And I'm standing on the driveway. That's standing essentially in front of the house, looking towards the roadway. And then standing at the south end, looking to the north toward the driveway. And I believe that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Newberry. Mr. Vunich.
Mr. Chair and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the petitioner is here tonight, and before inviting him to the podium to speak regarding the request, the department would like to note we have prepared a primer relative to this request, and in that primer provide background information as well as general and area site conditions and specifics relating to the batting cage itself. Along with that information is the regulations from the NU non-urban district for outdoor game courts. The department would note that this particular matter was brought to Mr. Oswald's attention, and Mr. Oswald began the conditional use permit process, acknowledging that he was not aware that a outdoor game court did require the specifics that relate to a conditional use permit. So with that, the context of the background or primer is provided for your consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Oswald?
Hi, thank you. Primarily, I want to answer any questions, address any concerns that anybody here may have. As an attorney, I'm typically verbose, and I will try to fight that because I understand everybody wants to watch the Blues game. But as I say that, please don't leave a question unanswered. I'm happy to stay as long as I need to address any questions, concerns, or otherwise. Ultimately, I guess we're here because I am a diehard baseball guy. My two boys are diehard baseball kids, and my daughter's a diehard softball kid. And really, it's we're trying to get this squared away so that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, so that really my kids can work in this thing on their swings. And that's about it. I'm not trying to step on any toes, and it's tucked. We're back in the woods. It's tucked into the woods, and the thing is really done the way it is so that it blends in as much as possible. That's the reason it's constructed out of wood, so that when you have a bunch of trees, even when the leaves aren't on the trees, and I tried to provide old photos of those too in the packet that I provided for the permit, if anybody wants to see those, so that it at least blends in as much as possible. And again, trying to stay out of people's way. Also did talk to I have one neighbor that actually it's on the lower side of the picture. Is that south? Okay, so this is oriented north. Okay, so the neighbor to the south there, whose property this would be closest to, also is the subdivision trustee, or the wife, I guess, is the subdivision trustee, but spoke to the husband and wife, and they have no problem with it. But then again, like I said, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, so I will address any questions, concerns otherwise.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councilman Worthy.
Thank you. Mr. Oswald, actually, before you step away, just to confirm, because obviously we're seeing the wood batting cage at this point. This is basically just to, as you said, dot the i's, cross t's, bring yourself compliant today versus rebuilding or putting up a new or different cage, correct?
Yes, I mean, I would prefer to not redo it because it's cheaper to not.
Well,
Yes. That's true.
I understand. Just wanted to be sure so we're all clear that we understand. Okay, we're just approving what's there, not some future
Yes, okay, yes.
reconstruction. Perfect.
That is true.
Thank you.
Joe?
Mr. Chair, if there's no comments from the attending public nor additional questions from the Planning and Zoning Commission, the department would respectfully request a motion second to close the public hearing.
Okay. Commissioner Grignani has a question.
Mr. Oswald, I have been out there in Shiloh different times campaigning and noticed that this was there a while back before this came up here today. I'm assuming, if I recall correctly, your lot goes fairly steeply uphill from the road in front of it, and the reason that it is where it is because that's the only flat area that you have had to put it on.
Yes, I mean, the true front yard is kind of flat, but that would not be. I would not want to do that. That's why it's on the side outside of the driveway and outside of the cleared spot right in front of my house. Yes, this is the only real logical flat spot for this, and that is why it is there.
It could not have been put behind your house.
If I put it behind my house, there would have been a lot of construction, a lot of money, and it would have priced me out, and no, it would not have been doable.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other discussion topics. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Mayor Bolin, and second by Councilman Worther.
Thank you.
We need to. Okay, so let's do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Passes. Yeah. Moving on to old business. Travis, will you read PZ 4-19?
PZ 4-19, City of Wildwood Planning and Zoning Commission, care of Department of Planning, 16860 Main Street, Wildwood, Missouri, 63040. A request to consider possible amendments to the City of Wildwood Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 415.380, Miscellaneous Regulations, which would address certain issues and concerns relating to hotels, motels, and similar types of uses, specifically regarding guest vehicles and the identification of them relative to their parking and/or storage in conjunction with these activities. All wards.
Mr. Vunich.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Department of Planning has prepared for your consideration tonight the draft letter of recommendation regarding the action item that Mr. Newberry just read into tonight's record. As is referenced on page 1 of the draft letter of recommendation, the Planning and Zoning Commission was presented this matter on May 20th and by unanimous vote agreed to add a new regulation to the miscellaneous regulations of the zoning ordinance relating to vehicular information as part of any hotel, motel, or similar use that might exist in the city of Wildwood. With the action of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the conversion of the department's report to the authorship of the Planning and Zoning Commission, it is ready for final action tonight. Mr. Chair, after a motion or a second, or you, as the chair, open the floor for discussion, the department will be available to answer any questions or respond to comments. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Vunich. Any discussion on the topic? May I have a motion to act on the department's.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay. Second. We have a motion from Commissioner Helfrey, and Mayor Boland second. This is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Helfrey? Commissioner Levitt?
Yes.
Commissioner Gragnani?
Yes.
Commissioner Beatty?
Yes.
Commissioner Deppler?
Yes.
Councilmember Worther?
Aye.
Mayor Boland?
Yes.
Chair Lee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you reading? Okay. Mr. Newberry, will you read PZ 5-19?
PZ 5-19, City of Wildwood, Planning and Zoning Commission, care of Department of Planning, 16860 Main Street, Wildwood, Missouri, 63040. A request relating to PZ 10-15 St. Charles Tower, care of Catherine Roderick, 4 West Drive, Suite 100, Chesterfield, Missouri, 63017, which, if granted, would terminate the conditional use permit that was authorized on this 10.6 acre tract of land, of which 2,000 square feet of this total lot's area is permitted to be utilized for a 110-foot telecommunications tower and related equipment shelter area. NU non-urban residence district with a conditional use permit, generally located northwest of the intersection of Babbler Park Drive and Old Etherton Road. Locator number 21W310270, street address 1400 Babbler Park Drive, Life Point Church. This review relative to the termination of this existing permit is required given it contains certain performance standards for submittals which have not been met, along with the petitioner notifying the City of Wildwood that it does not intend to complete the required site development plan process in the timeline therein established by the Planning and Zoning Commission in the governing permit. Ward 3.
Thank you, Mr. Newberry. Mr. Boonage.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Department of Planning has provided for your consideration tonight its information report with recommendation regarding the matter that was just read into tonight's record by Mr. Newberry. Many of you are aware of this particular request since it has been with the City of Wildwood now for the better part of 3 years. The Planning and Zoning Commission granted authorization for the construction of a 110-foot telecommunications tower and equipment shelter at the site of the Life Point Church. The petitioner at that time provided evidence that there was an existing gap in coverage, and by the installation of this particular tower, that gap would be addressed. And at that time as well, the petitioner noted interest in this location by providers. As with any conditional use permit, there are certain timelines associated with it. The first of those timelines relate to the submittal of a site development plan for review and action by this Planning and Zoning Commission. Over the course of the last several years, extensions have been granted to the petitioner, noting that the interest in the tower facility was not as great, and none of the providers had come forward yet to sign a lease or proceed with its construction. At the last extension hearing, the petitioner noted it would not be their intent to proceed forward even with the submittal of the site development plan to preserve their rights. With that action and the timelines associated with a conditional use permit, the Department of Planning requested and received approval to advertise for its termination from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Tonight, for the reasons cited in the analysis of the report, principally extensions have been granted, the intent of the petitioner to no longer proceed forward with any submittal, and the fact that the zoning ordinance requires such, the department is recommending the termination of the conditional use permit. It does not preclude, in the future, the submittal of a similar or identical request, but with this action, the Planning and Zoning Commission is guaranteeing that a public hearing will be held and will be starting from the beginning of the process, not midway or even further along. Again, in conclusion, the department is recommending that the conditional use permit be terminated at this location for the following reasons provided in the analysis of this report. Mr. Chair, after you open the floor to discussion or a motion is made, the Department of Planning will be available to answer any questions or respond to comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vunich. Discussion? Councilman Werther?
Thank you. You know where to go when it comes to telecom items. Just for the benefit of the public as well as members of this commission, I will be abstaining on this matter since I am employed by the telecommunications industry and would like to remain so for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Have a motion to approve department? Commissioner Helfrey, discussion?
Motion to approve.
Okay. And a second by Commissioner Levitt. So roll call vote?
Commissioner Gragnani,
Yes.
Commissioner Beatty,
Yes.
Commissioner Deppler,
Yes.
Commissioner Helfrey,
Yes.
Commissioner Levitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Werther,
Abstain.
Mayor Boland,
Yes.
Chair Lee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Vunich.
There is one last item on tonight's agenda. It relates to the election of officers for the Planning and Zoning Commission for the upcoming year 2019 and 2020. In the existing bylaws, under Article 3, it speaks of a nominating committee of not less than 4 commission members shall be appointed by the serving chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission at the second meeting in June of each year. Typically, what we do at this time, the first meeting of June, is identify the need to create the nominating committee and ask commission members to contact the chair if they are interested in being one of the 4 or more serving on that committee for the selection of officers. So tonight, it's just an information point. And again, if you're interested in serving, and typically it's citizen members, please contact the chair and advise them of such. The chair then lets us know, and then we discuss with the nominating committee when they would like to meet so we can post it and conduct our business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vunich. With that, there are no other action items, so let's go Blues. We have a motion to adjourn? Okay, Mr. Commissioner Levitt.
I first have a procedural question, maybe because I'm new, but what is the next step on PZ 9-19, which we had the public hearing for?
Mr. Vunich.
In 2 weeks, Mr. Newberry and I will prepare a draft letter of recommendation. And that draft letter of recommendation, if acted upon favorably, will conclude the commission's review and grant the conditional use permit for the outdoor game court. Thereafter, on the 24th of June, the item will be forwarded to City Council for receipt and filing. City Council has an option to exercise power of review. If it does not, 15 days later, the permit will become effective.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. My pleasure.
Motion? Commissioner Helfrey. Motion. Second? Commissioner Beatty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much.
Thank you all for doing